Audrey, are you going to present today? You got anything to say to the people? No, you're just going to stop Alex from showing what he's going to share. You're better at my intro. Hello and welcome to Heather and Hops. My name is Kat and I'm a knitter based in Hertfordshire who has documented her knitting journey from project 1 through to now. And today I am with my husband Alex.
Hello everyone.
Doing his best Sam Pilgrim impression.
Hello everyone.
Which, if you're into bikes, you would know who he is. This is strange, but we're gonna try and keep it in a normal sort of succession as I usually would. So we'll talk about Alex's finished objects, his works in progress, and I have a really exciting work in progress that I would love to share with you finally. Yeah. So, your finished object, you're going to have to put down your knitting to show it. You don't have to.
It's making good progress there.
You can show that shortly.
Where should I begin?
Share your finished object.
My finished object, my only finished object. So, I knitted a hat.
If you join us for our Christmas Eve cast on, you'll have seen Alex not quite cast this on, but start working on it, and you finished it very quickly.
I did. It took a couple of days, really.
But yeah, I think the combination of being at home and having a bit of time off really paid off to being able to get it done quickly. It was knitted using West Yorkshire Spinners Blue Faced Leicester in their medium or light brown colour, and a yarn that I really can't figure out what it was. I think it might be a king coal, but it's a tweedy kind of mould colour, and it's come out beautifully.
I think I'm not sure. There we go.
From memory, I can't remember what needle size you used, but I think you cast on 104 stitches and did a very simple but quite nice little decrease section.
I really enjoyed knitting with much chunkier yarn than I was used to, and it's the first time I've knitted holding double yarns together, and I really enjoyed it. It was straight after knitting half a sock that I did this, and the speed in which this went compared to the sock was incredible. It just made me keep going. I think I did it in kind of what we probably watched two seasons of Taskmaster, the Channel 4 show, and then
that, if you are from anywhere else in the world and haven't seen it, it is ridiculous. A comedian, Greg Davies, gives comedians and other famous people now
just ridiculous tasks.
Maybe counting tins of beans, just ridiculous.
My task was to finish a hat whilst watching it, and I did it. Yeah, really proud of this one.
Yeah, so it's an Aran weight hat, and you've worn it quite a lot.
I've worn it almost every day since I knitted it, which is saying something considering I've got at least one hat for every day for the week now.
Yeah, that's very true. And you are wearing two items that have been... Alex knitted his jumper. There is an episode...
We already showed this off, didn't we?
That discusses it. It's always nice to double check, but there is no pattern for it, but it was knitted in drops Nepal. And Alex's hat, again, this was improvised, there's no pattern.
I like this one.
But this is West Yorkshire Spinners Air Valley.
It's got a little point on it, which I think is quite cool.
It's come out nicely, that.
Yeah.
That was one of your Christmas hats.
It's one of my Christmas hats. Yeah.
And then you've also got some WIPs to share. I think your socks are currently being...
Audrey's trying them on, I think.
Yeah, Audrey's...
Give me that.
Audrey has her own sofa just behind that she has recently only been using if I put my jumper on there, but is still opting to choose Alex's socks today. So Alex had, I think last time you were here you've just started the first one.
Yep,
and
I think that's right.
Using Chromatic Yarn's Sturdy Sock in the Fluff and Nutter colourway, which if you watch Critical Role you will understand A, the colour, and B, the ridiculous word. But now Alex...
So I've got almost two socks. Well, kind of ankle warmers at the moment, I guess. But I've done up to the heel on both.
Alex has done the heels, and Alex did the heels himself, which I think is a pretty cool feat. Last time we did afterthought heels and toes.
There you
go. But this time Alex did a fish lips kiss heel, which will never not be funny, in garter stitch.
Is it gonna focus?
I'll have to do some editing, or I won't, and you'll just be seeing some nice up close footage of these lovely yarns and socks. But yeah, I think I mentioned in the needles video about Alex's choice of sock needles, and I'm just gonna repeat it. Alex has the longer needle in his right hand and the shorter needle in his left hand. I think that's what I said, but in case it wasn't, that's how you enjoy using them.
Is that right? Or is it? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I think last time I might have picked them up and
put them in the wrong way around, yeah.
To switch them.
But I have enjoyed knitting these, but since I knitted the hat after knitting this far, I didn't want to go back to such tiny fiddly stitches and needles, so I've started another project.
Which also might be a little bit more exciting for you, which might be another factor in how much you are enjoying it.
Yeah, totally enjoying it.
So, yeah, I mean...
It's just the process.
So Alex has cast on the Ardmore by Kate Davies.
Yes. And I've got this far.
So it is a... excuse me, a modern take on a traditional Gansey. It's slightly different because it is a lighter weight, and that is part of the reason that we chose this for Alex to knit.
So I really wanted a Gansey. Everyone will know what a Gansey is, will they?
Yeah, you can explain.
So Gansey is like a traditional, I guess, British fishing jumper. Essentially.
There are, I know there's definitely, there's a great Dutch Ganseys book for kids book, but I do think it goes further afield.
Yeah,
I
think they originated in the Channel Isles, but hundred years ago, almost every little fishing port around the UK would have their own sort of style of jumper that the fishermen would wear. It's the warmest thing to wear when you're at sea. So they all had their own patterns. It was kind of, I think it was to do with so they could be identified. Each of the patterns had like little bits of symbolism in them. But they're really cool, and where I'm from in the northeast of England, there is a few traditional patterns from there, so I kind of wanted something like that, but they're so warm and they're so heavy, I don't think I would really wear it so much, at least not all year round. And if I'm going to spend 100+ hours knitting a jumper, I want to be able to really wear it all the time. So this is kind of a lighter version, I'm guessing. I mean it's much lighter from
knitted at a much looser gauge too.
And
in comparison.
Yeah, it's really soft. I've chosen merino.
So also my part in encouraging Alex to do this is that you did have a hope of doing a traditional one at some point, but this will introduce Alex to the stitches, the cabling, knits and purls, and oh hi, little Audrey's just here again, sorry, distracting. So this is a really good way of learning to do a bit of knitting back and forth, cabling like I said, without committing to do either an all over jumper or a much more dense piece. So this is quite nice as an entry to that as well, and it gives you a lot more time to think about whether you want to do a WIP jumper maybe, or design your own. And just while I remember, the Scottish Fisheries or Fishing Museum have recently, on the 21st of January, released an exhibition on Ganseys. There's some really cool videos, like photos, that you can look around a Gansey, and it's got information on knitting Ganseys. I just wanted to share that because it's really cool.
But yeah, really excited. I chose a navy blue because kind of they are traditionally blue, navy blue. You do get kind of beige, sort of oatmeal coloured ones as well. People even used to wear white ones for weddings, apparently.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of that's said that is set in stone, but there is also a talk of them just using whatever they could get their hands on.
Yeah, there we go.
And ones like this that Kate Davies has designed, this was in the Esther Rutter book, this Golden Fleece. The reason that some had stockinette just from sort of the lower chest down, or the yoke down, and again on the arms, was so that it could be easily ripped out and reknitted if it got holes and things, because they were worn so often that sometimes it was a lot easier to have stockinette to rip back to, but where the yoke was, it wouldn't, or it's not really a yoke, but where the yoke would be, it would remain nice and textured and dense and cabled. Yeah. Alex did swatch.
I did, yeah.
We will go in again and check gauge, and as we go, I know that as you get more comfortable and using it, it might adjust, and if we can kind of adjust as we go rather than ripping out and reknitting, I think that's a good thing.
I really hope it fits.
We're doing our best to make it
Yeah.
fit. Little Audrey came to join us again, and she's sat behind Alex now.
She causes chaos.
And has been mildly distracting, but she is looking very cute right now. She's all tucked up.
I don't know if you can see.
You just about
Maybe.
can't. No, she's just out of shot. We've got two taller chairs. But
what was I talking about?
your lovely swatch.
My
and
lovely
your yarn.
swatch. So I did swatch. Here it is. Took me about 2 hours to do this. Probably shouldn't have taken me 2 hours, but I was watching a film at the same time.
And we've been watching the Bourne series, which is quite suspenseful, isn't it?
Yeah, so this basically represents 3 of the Bourne films. Bourne Identity. So obviously I'm knitting away, but then it gets really suspenseful and I'm kind of frozen to the spot. Or he's hanging off a building and my palm starts sweating, so...
It's amazing the difference too, even though we're very lucky to have quite good speakers here, that were a gift or borrowed more than a gift. I can hear it's very dramatic when Alex stops knitting, and then suddenly it becomes more dramatic because the clicking stopped.
Yeah. So this has probably taken me, I'd say 8 hours. I have actually been timing it. I'm really curious. You never do this. I want to know exactly how many stitches I've done. I want to know exactly how many meters I've used. I want to know exactly how long it's taken me.
It's weird because I really love numbers.
Yeah. I
think it's cool.
I knitted the ribbing, and the ribbing kind of it basically took me 15 minutes to do each round of the ribbing.
150
And
minutes.
then once I got onto the knit stitch, it started taking me 10 minutes to do each round. And I think they're gradually getting a bit quicker and quicker, so yeah.
Try it. He's got to keep an eye on these balls of yarn because I keep squishing them.
So I chose merino. I've just kind of wanted something really soft, really kind of flexible. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the right.
It's not too crispy like some yarn can be.
Yeah, this is a woolen spun yarn, a 2-ply woolen, and it is from, do you want to say?
It's got a
De Rerum Natura.
De Rerum Natura, so I guess that's a Latin, French name? Latin? It's probably Latin. But I don't know if they're words that are used in French. I don't really speak French very well, shamefully. And it's called Ulysses. I guess that's named after Greek mythology, not Latin. But is it going to work?
I'll insert some footage. And it's 185 metres per 50 grams.
Really, really nice yarn. I was very pleased when it arrived, actually.
Yeah, Alex did spend it might even be as much as 6 months. 4 months? Like, just trying to decide.
Well, yeah, I also needed to wait till I had some money to buy it as well. So I spent my I got some Christmas money from my family and spent it all on yarn, which I'm sure they didn't predict I would do.
I didn't predict you
I've been inducted into the cult, I think.
Community. So we could start one if you wanted.
Yeah. So yeah, I got it from a website. Another word that's probably quite difficult to say.
Isolde Teague. She does beautiful designs, beautiful colour work, and very clever constructions of simple garments.
Yeah, really nice website actually.
Yeah. Beautifully created.
Lots of provenance on different things, lots of interesting yarns and
this ranunculus, actually I purchased 2 skeins from Christine in real life at a yarn festival, and I ran out and I ordered. That's how I discovered that Isolde didn't just do patterns, that she had yarn, and it is beautifully curated and predominantly naturally woolly wools, like Rana phenol garn.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
Very nice.
It's lovely. I'm quite excited seeing you knit it, if I'm honest. Which you're welcome to carry on with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. So this actually sort of ties in with the project that I really wanted to share and haven't been able to for a couple of reasons. But I must apologise for the bubbling on my last video. I teach yoga, and although I find Audrey very distracting, that is mostly because she's very cute. I, given the right circumstances, can ignore anything and everything, and it's not necessarily ignore, but I just completely focus on what I'm doing. So I didn't hear it until long after I recorded, when I was coming to edit the video, and I did my best to try and get rid of it, but none of the softwares that I managed to use were able to help, and because I was so busy with this, I wasn't able to re-record. So thank you so much for those that joined in and were kind enough to see past it. And almost immediately someone did comment and we explained, and it did become a little bit more enjoyable, but it was actually one of Alex's brews.
Yeah, it was an airlock in some beer, and basically when you brew a beer, 15 times the volume of beer escapes as CO2. So you make 5 litres of beer, you'll get 15 litres of CO2 coming off it, and it goes through a little bubble at airlock. And I should have told Kat before I left for work that she can just pull it out, and
I would have felt like I was going to destroy a beer. But
oops.
A funny story came up, and this does sort of tie in with my project. It happened actually multiple times, because there was a season of sort of 8 weeks where a big American brass band, I think there was multiple different high schools, came to play in the local park, which seems quite strange, but it was really quite cool. But I used to teach yoga in the bandstand, and specifically one time I did not notice at all. I was teaching, there was about 30 odd of us, it was a beautiful sunny day, and I was so into the flow, just guiding away, that I didn't notice that over 120 brass band members were practicing and tuning up and getting ready to do a performance. So that's me.
Suddenly wake up from a yoga trance and you're surrounded by a brass band.
Yes.
Yeah, it's quite funny.
So I've already recorded this with Alex here. Alex is still in the background, but it means quite a lot to me, and as such I found myself not saying what I meant, and I will do my best to express what I mean, but this is one of the most heartfelt things that I've done when it comes to knitting, and the project that I'm going to share with you was actually yarn that I had dyed myself from plant matter that I had gathered with Monica and Alex at the farm that we stay at in Scotland. So the yarn is quite dear to my heart anyway, and I was really happy with the colours that I got. But because I'm the sort of person that has to really work hard not to just store things that I love, it's okay with garments, but when it seems to come to like yarn or spices or teas, I'm reserved and I tend to put them aside rather than use them. So I do actually have to consciously make myself, because you may as well use it while it's at the best and get use out of things. So I recently pulled the yarn up from my wall pantry and I saw it, and I knew that given my almost mantra of the year being intentions or intentional, I kind of instantly knew that that was the yarn that I wanted to play with. And I started sketching, and almost instantly I came up with the idea and almost concept. I wanted something that was going to both provide me mindful knitting and also very relaxing, almost mindless knitting, but it isn't mindless, and that's what I kept coming back to, is doing it intentionally, slowing down whilst I was knitting, even though it felt really natural to just click, click, click across the rows. I mindfully slowed down and I loved working every single stitch. So I knitted up this shawl / scarf in the yarn that I dyed naturally. This one I believe is thistle. There is some nettle in here, there is some lichen, some different roots. I will make sure when I put this on Ravelry to note down what it was that I used to dye it. And it is quite simple in terms of techniques used, but I am so happy with the outcome. Whilst I was knitting, I think I got about halfway through, I kind of came back quite deeply to my yoga practice, and this ties in with that. In the way I was knitting was very much reflecting the way I like to practice, and I've been thinking, since my body feels a lot more healed, is the best way to describe it, I've been pondering how I can teach again in a natural way. I'm not convinced I'm yet ready to go back to teaching yoga classes, but it might be something that I would love to do, and this merging of knitting and mindful yoga practices just was there. So I want to put this out into the world as a sort of 7 or 8 week journey where I share my thoughts on certain things and hopefully give you practices and time to reflect and do similar. And this yarn, of course, is one of, it's one of a kind. It's my own hand dyed. I'm not going to become a natural yarn dyer anytime soon, as much as I really love doing it. So I reached out to Alice of Whistlebear and showed her the concept while I was maybe halfway knit, and she said she would love to collaborate on this and work with me, which is really sweet. So I'm currently knitting it up in some of Alice's yarns. I'll just give you a little peek of the colours. Very happy with the choices, very spring, and I think they do. Yeah, I think they're going to be lovely. So this will be knitted in Cheviot Marsh, and I am currently working on it, but I will show you that project next week. I think it's kind of nice to, well, show off this one for a little bit. And Alice will be helping me to put together kits. The kit will be yarn in your choice of colours, and I think that's kind of important because for me it's about adding something to your wardrobe or a loved one's wardrobe that they will love and get a lot of wear out of. It's not just some love will be knitted into this, and it will be hopefully worn and almost a heirloom project. And yeah, we're hoping to do a spring equinox cast on, which I think is quite poignant for the project, starting with the time of hope and renewal almost. And I did also think that given the world as it is, it will give another way of me giving back to the lovely community that has kept me going for so long, and hopefully connect more people together. We will have a Discord group where hopefully some of the people that I've got involved in the weekly editions will be able to jump in and share their thoughts and chat with you, and hopefully if anyone does join in, it makes me very anxious, that they too will be able to share their mindful practices or how they've felt like throughout and whether they've gained knowledge, calmness. I just think it's quite a nice way of bringing people together. So it will be run as a knit along, hopefully. And yeah, I'm really excited about the prospect. We're hoping to have the kits up in a couple of weeks' time. I'm really happy with my second version. I am still, even though I'm having to knit it fairly quickly, I'm still making sure I might be spending a longer amount of time doing so knitting for maybe 6 hours a day or 8 hours a day even, but slowing down the actual knitting speed to make sure I'm enjoying it to my best ability, and I really am. I think it's often, you know, unheard of to go and knit something that's this kind of, the final one will be a bit bigger than this, but something this large and then to go in and knit it straight again, I think that does speak well of the enjoyment that this will bring. So yeah, all that to say, I'm really excited about this, and if you want to join in, then that would be lovely. I think I've already got testers, but I might need one more at this point. So if you are interested at all, do feel free to send me a message either on Ravelry or direct to my email is probably the best way. Yeah, I'll let other us come back and chat with you again. Very nice and exciting to me.
It's a nice object. It's one of the most pleasing things I've ever seen you knit, to be honest.
It's simple and unassuming, and I've got to say it goes really nice with my I should have been wearing these all of last year. I made these in 2019, but these are probably the ultimate lockdown attire. They're made out of a bed sheet, and they are really wide.
You're gonna have to insert a picture, aren't you?
They are brushed cotton trousers that are just so comfortable.
That's wearing a bed sheet.
I'm wearing a bed sheet, and I'm so excited by that. I did do a quick post on Instagram, and I try and do this before I film with Alex because it's always interesting to see what questions come up.
Oh, me?
Yeah. I might join you, but so lovely Nicole, who's Time Weaver, whose stitch markers I use all the time, so you will probably have heard of Nicole if you've been here for a while, asked if you could bring one thing to a deserted island, what would it be?
You.
Aww. Does that mean I get to bring Audrey? Is it like a chain or?
But then she's just going to bring a can of tuna or something, isn't she?
Yes, she probably would. I'm surprised she didn't bat an eyelid at the word tuna. Yeah, okay, that's a good one.
I mean, what was I meant to say? Swiss Army knife.
Meant to say, I don't know.
Sun cream?
Yeah, it depends what kind of deserted island it was. Imagine it was like Alaska. That's not a deserted island. That's foolish. But imagine if it was like a cold landscape. You'd want a flint.
I mean, if it was just for one day, then hammock, maybe big thing. I think we cheated on that one.
Oh, yes. Have either of you been to Australia? If not, is it somewhere you'd like to see?
One of the few places in the world I have been, actually.
And we have some.
One of the most magical experiences of my life, going to the Daintree rainforest. So if you don't know where that is, try not to.
I'm trying not to cry just thinking about it.
So if you don't know where the Daintree rainforest is, it's in the northeast Queensland. It's basically across the water from Papua New Guinea. And it's completely tropical. It's a tropical rainforest, and it's twice as old as the Amazon rainforest. So I think it's like 40 million years or 80 million years or something like that. And it was like walking into Jurassic Park.
Even with the cassowaries.
It's cassowaries, like these huge 6-foot birds, with huge dinosaur feet, crocodiles and
Alex
lizards.
has got unfinished business though, haven't you?
Yeah, I was brought up watching Steve Irwin, and I was desperate to see a snake.
We did stay at Peppermint House, and one of the, you remember the chap and the couple knew Steve Irwin's son?
Parents. Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
But I didn't see any snakes. Even crawling through the rainforest in Australia in the middle of the night with a torch. Nothing.
You were looking.
I was
pretty
looking.
hard.
Yeah, beautiful. I would love to go back to Australia, and Melbourne was a really cool city.
Oh,
It was like all
food.
the best bits about kind of East London without the annoying bits. I would just leave that at that.
Yeah, it was a lot more. It was like if you got to remake it, knowing what you knew about East London.
Yeah.
Like it's
nice.
well thought out and a little bit less complicated.
Yeah, it was really cool. Really,
Mangoes in the street.
mangoes in the
Alex.
street, bats in the trees. What a crazy place. Yeah, I loved it. And we got to go to the Great Barrier Reef.
And it was the first time that I had visited a coffee farm, and the first time that you'd visited a tea farm that wasn't in the UK.
Yeah, I went. The reason we went was for work, go to the tea farm.
Which is what I've been drinking, actually, part of it.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think that answers that question.
Yeah. I don't think we've got too many. Hi Ashley, your sister asks.
My sister?
Yeah, where are we all going on holiday when lockdown is over?
When and where? Anywhere.
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 Just anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere. Just throw a dart at the map. Anywhere.
That would be Anna and Andrea's job. They're good at.
My sisters
Dart to the map.
My sisters can decide on family holidays, and I will attend.
And the last one's kind of any podcast recommendations, audio, video, fibre or non-fibre. I'll leave this to you because you've got.
I do listen to a lot of podcasts. I don't know any knitting fibre related podcasts really.
No, I tend to more often than not watch them or have them on as company in the day when I don't have the lovely Alex for company.
I would recommend some podcasts like The Memory Palace, which is like little short interesting stories from history, or Radio Lab have kind of deep dives on topics that kind of make you go or like, ooh, didn't know about that, or yeah, those are really good. You've put me on the spot now. Like two good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's good.
Yeah, two good ones.
What about a comedy podcast?
Yeah.
There's a podcast. It's completely stupid. It's about imaginary what you would have for your ultimate meal in a dream restaurant, called the Off Menu Podcast, and it's James Acaster and Ed Gamble, British comedians, and they interview other comedians and ask them what their favourite food is, basically. Yeah, it's quite entertaining.
And I should say that the lovely Nicole, who asked this question, also has a podcast, and I was her first interviewee, which is weird. And so it's both in English and Spanish, which is amazing, and she interviews creators from around the world. And I just think it's a really nice little fibre podcast, should you watch.
And what are they called?
Time Weaver.
Oh, yeah.
Which I always thought was just, I thought we were destined to be best friends because I thought her last name was Weaver.
Yeah.
And I hoped secretly that I'd find like a distant cousin, but it's not her real name.
I do get to watch a lot of these knitting podcasts because they're usually on YouTube when I come in from work, and we'll sit for like half an hour or an hour sometimes and watch them, but I never really know what they're called because they're already on there, so I haven't searched for them, and they're kind of on the TV, so I never see the name at the bottom really. But yeah, I recognise them.
Yeah. You'd probably recognise voices on Knit Nights and too, which is funny.
Oh.
Ooh, we've gone a bit wonky. Laura has asked us, or Alex, would you rather a tiny piece of amazing cake or a large piece of average cake?
How average is it?
I don't know, I guess you could make your mind up.
Right now,
If it's a good average.
I'm going for the big average.
Even with a Sunday dinner on the way.
Yeah.
I would.
You would go with the amazing one, I'm sure of it.
Yeah, I think I would.
Yeah.
I don't know that I could. Because when I'm thinking average cake, I'm thinking like lots of icing, and
But
it's not really.
even bad cake's good, right? Apart from the only time I don't like it is if it's really too sweet.
Yeah, I don't. Like the thought of a Costco cake is. It's too much for me. Too much for me. I'd rather a.
Can we have cake?
Yeah, you make it. We did make cake last weekend.
We did.
And Laura also asks which one of you is more likely to lose a child in a shopping centre.
It's gotta be you, right?
Really?
It's gotta be.
I'm a worrier. Do you think so?
You lost your lunch in the cupboard.
I did. I think a living thing's slightly different.
Yeah, that's true.
I think you might easily forget, more likely to forget that you were in charge of a child. I would be panicking, holding,
Yeah.
potentially. Much of a muchness.
Good questions.
Yeah, very good. I like that they weren't entirely fibre related. And unlike Laura's last question, where we could show the cake, the biscuit, we can't do the cake, and I don't really want to be held responsible for potentially losing a child. So these ones won't be put into real life action. And I will also just, while I'm thinking of it, I must say thank you to Laura who actually sent some no nylon sock yarn through, which hopefully I will get to do some more sock knitting once I've finished my sample of this, which I'm hoping to cast on. Which, if anyone has any lovely sport weight sock patterns, I would be very interested to know. If not, I will improvise and hope for the best. Awesome. Alex is going to go and make some cake. But that is all the questions. I think that is all we've had. Is that all that we wanted to share?
Yeah, and we've got 3 minutes left before the memory and card runs out.
We can tell them a story.
Why don't you sing a song?
Oh, no one wants to hear that. No one wants to hear that. Yeah, I don't think we've got any other. Obviously, we're not really going anywhere, doing anything, which is, we're making the most of it. Yeah. I think we're probably a few weeks away from needing a little solo dance party before I start getting a bit antsy.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Very exciting, very exciting. I'm going to do a bit more research on Ganzis and maybe start plotting out an idea for like picking charts for Alex, hopefully. Have a little look. There's a few books that I would quite like to purchase. There's one in particular that I've seen that looks very interesting and in depth. I will put the name on the screen so both you can find it should you wish to have a little look yourselves, and so I remember to. And it's got information on Ganzis, Aran jumpers and Fair Isle, which I think are 3 beautiful techniques and, you know, heritage knitting. And there's a lot of information, and from what I've read there's a lot of clarity on how to make them and a lot of almost stitch dictionaries, so you can design your own too, which I think would be really cool. And I would personally like one myself at some point, but I will have a knitted dense one for wearing outside and keeping me cozy, because as you can tell I enjoy the knitwear. But yeah, thank you so much for sitting down and joining us. I hope you found this interesting or a little bit fun, or just some nice company on hopefully on a sunny day as opposed to a rainy day, which looks like it's coming our way very shortly. I hope you spend some time reaching out to friends and family. I know that a lot of us need that at the moment, and if just one person reaches out, it seems to have a chain reaction, which is really good. I hope you get a bit of knitting time, and don't forget to love each other. Any final words, Simpson? No? Husband says nah. So thank you, and we will see you then very soon.